Grazie. Covering emotion and the pleasure to discover. Understand the difference between a fragrance and another one. How people are creating. If you read the same book when you are 16, when you are 30, when you are 60, so you dress a perfume because you love to dress it. The fragrance in Fabula means it's like tales in a bottle, tales in a fragrance. So what we try to explain usually with the artistic perfumery concept is to let the people to consider what is inside the bottle, like a book, like a photograph, like a music. So you have to, if you listen to music from Vivaldi and you have the four seasons, you have the effect to be in a four seasons. So you have the spring, the winter, etc. If you read a book, you are transported, it transports you somewhere. And I used to say that the best teletransportation system the human being invented is the perfume. So in a while I can transport you on the mountain, in Japan, in South America, on a boat, whatever you want. So it's a teletransportation system immediately. And we want to tell people that if you approach the fragrance as you approach a painting, a sculpture, something like that, and you listen the fragrance, and you can tell to yourself, you can imagine a color, an emotion, you can imagine a location. So it's something more than simply something that you add on your body. It's something that is announcing you and leaving a memory of you to the other people. So if you choose in a proper manner and it's realistically coherent with your way of being, so you have a gesture, you decide some color, you have the movement of your hands, how you walk, how your hairstyle. So I get an impression. If I smell something that is current, I'm absolutely happier. Because it's something that it confirms me what I get from what they tell me, the way you speak, etc. So the day you find a perfume that is close to you, is like to dress you. It's like a marriage between you and the perfume. And if the marriage is a positive marriage and you never divorce, I'm very happy. And that said, this story especially is made on the concept of niche. What does it mean? If you look to the single shelves, each shelf has are inside a frame. Any frame is a different dimension of the other one. The background is not every time the same, but appears to be similar. And that is why that, because we used to say that a perfume proposing artistic perfumery is like a cathedral. In a cathedral, you have different niches. In each niche, you have different artists. Because each family has a different artist making a sculpture, making something, or the painting. Altogether, the niches create a cathedral. So that is a cathedral. In any niches has a story of a brand or the second brand. And so no one is completely divided from the other one because you come from a story of a brand in the other one. And every time you are moving in a different emotions. So that is the more, so we have to come back to the concept of the libraries, where you have someone that when you come into the library will tell you, oh, I have a book for you. But I don't mind if the book was printed 20 years ago or yesterday. It's simply because there is an emotion in the book that is current with what you usually read. And so I propose you something else. So it's every time a story and you would love to be in that story. Also, you have some stories that, it's like painting. When you come in a picture, in an exhibition, you can find 10 paints. Some of them are, you love so much, but only one is the one you buy the poster, you buy in the shop and you take at your home. Because that is the one that emotions you the most, not all of them. So the point, and sometimes it's something you want to simply admire and you never dress. For instance, so there is a lot of perfume I love so much, but I will never dress. Aesthetical point of view is wonderful, but it should be that it's like a book. And I used to say very often that when you read a book, like from Hemingway, for example, if you read the same book when you're 16, when you're 30, when you're 60, the book is pretend the same, but the emotion is completely different because you are not the same. So it should be that something I love the smell, I will not dress today. It should be that in the next 15 years I will dress it. So I used to say that my IE is made of different fragrances. I dressed a fragrance until I was 30. I have another fragrance when I was 40, and then I changed my fragrance. So today I'm dressing a fragrance that a perfume made for me, but then I sell also. Grazie. And but that is what we try to transmit to the people coming in, discovering emotion and the pleasure to discover that. So, fortunately, obviously, we need much more creators, much more brands, the capability to have a huge assortment of proposition. And that is, in my opinion, the soul of artistic perfumery. So, no one of these fragrances is made to be a successful and a blockbuster. They have to tell you a story. Then, obviously, like in the books, someone will be a blockbuster, someone knows despite different reasons. I don't mind at all, but the most important thing is that the book emotion you. Because if you have no emotion, you can say whatever you want, but it's nothing. So there is obviously fortune. You must be lucky. You must launch the fragrance in the right moment. So it should be that we have masterpieces and no one still have discoveries. So one of our roles is also to find masterpieces, forgotten sometimes. But if you propose in the new generation, sometimes we are very surprised how generation Gen Z is discovering something that was created 50 years ago and they love it. So it's false to tell you need to update every time something. I think there is some videos that are very important, and so why not? Young people are much more than before interested in that. So we are very proud of that. No, it's a matter of fact that for a long time, our sons and nephew was not easy to be in relationship with natural smell. I have to what I mean. I mean, for example, if you think to tilleul, for example, the tree, the flower of the tree, linden tree, yeah, the linden tree. You know, when spring comes, you have the linden tree that is the first one flowering, blowing. For my generation, that is the smell of spring. For Gen Z, no. Because you have no much more these trees in the cities as once it was in once. Today you buy things in the grocery, but sometimes you smell only the green of the tomato, few aromatics. But if you live in a city, not so many. So so there is a new approach to discover something like that. I think there is an educational approach we have to promote, letting the young generation to smell much more around them. So very often I tell the people, if when you leave your house and you reach, let me say, your house or your school, how many smell you really have during your walking street? Very often people tell you no one. Then if you stop a little, for sure you smell the smell of a coffee bar, you smell something, or exhausts of the cars, you was close to a jasmine plant or something like that. But it's a treasure, you know. And so today I think there is a new attitude, and this new attitude we have to thank COVID for that, losing smell. And so there is a dramatic attention now to smell, and the people now are smelling. much more than before. The young generation also much more. And so I think there is everything related to sustainability, so the discovery of the relationship between human and the nature, the attention of the smell around you, and that was so important. And the other things that was very positive for us that during COVID, we have not a reduction in consumer perfume at all. But the most important thing that people started to smell for themselves, not for the other one, because you was closing your house. So you dress a perfume because you love to dress it, and not simply to appear something else. So all these things, if you add all these things, its conclusion is yes, I think the new generation, we appreciate it, now prone to discover much more what is inside the bottle. Want to come into this world should be confusing because you have so many fragrances, so you have no idea. So on this side, you have different things we develop in different manner. The fragrance finder, for example. So when you can insert, also in our website, for example, you insert what you are using now, and we propose you almost three fragrances. The one is very close to your fragrance, and then we propose you other fragrances that are a little more floral or more woody, for example. That is one way. The other way should be also to ask to yourself, or better, to be more confident in your relationship with the sales assistant. Tell them not what fragrance are you looking for. Tell them which kind of books you read. Tell them which kind of movie you see. Tell them which kind of travel you made. And then she or he will try to assist you in driving you in a perfume that is close to what you love. And that is it's very important that we have to know the story about the brands, the story about the fragrances. We have not to teach you. We have simply to accompany you to discover the fragrance that is closer to what you love. So don't ask me, I want to see a vetiver, I want to smell a vetiver. Don't mind at all. Tell me if you want a sad perfume, a happy perfume, if you want a green space, or you want a stone or electricity. Use the word you know, because we have a big problem in word for perfume. So we have not really a language to describe properly, like in Surskin books now, for example, with perfume. So it's better that you use your own word and let us to let you discover what is closer, because very often people are speaking about ingredients, but they never smell. So how many people really smell the real oud? How many people really know what is really a vetiver or the difference between Bourbon and Haiti vetiver? No one. So how many people really knows exactly what is bergamot, with or without bergamot? So I don't mind. That is a techniques aspect. We don't mind at all. You never ask to a painter where he bought the colors he used to make it. Why in the end you ask me which kind of ingredient? Then if you want to know if the ingredients are natural or not, if the moisture, we can tell everything later. But the most important thing is you love or you dislike it. Don't ask me technical aspect before. Ask me something when you finally something that is telling you something that give you an emotion. That is the role we have. So follow your nose and listen the fragrance. No, the point is the reason why, honestly, the reason why I decided to, with other guys, to create Esxence was the fact that we understood that what is the most important thing we have to develop, the distribution network, much more the retail network. So you know that worldwide we have no the proper situation. Italy, for some reason, I can't tell you, but it's a long story. But the reason why Italy is the platform for that, and all the event for niche perfumery has born in Italy, and all the other events born in other countries like Germany, United States, etc., are no more existing. We are living. We started 14 years ago. We are still there, and the point is that we need a much more point of sales capable to propose multi-brand proposition. And so we encourage brands, distributors, etc., to meet each other And honestly, since 2009, when we started, finally we have really a much more interesting network worldwide. And that is very important for independent small brands. So like Esxence started in a very small space that was the Pelota, where the game Pelota was in Milan, so very small. Then we moved in a museum like La Permanente. Then we moved in the La Triennale, larger museum, just to have a connection between art and perfumery. Then we moved to another space, a very modern space close to the Gaio space in Milan. And then we move in a fair today because we move from last year we was 8,000 square meter. This year 14,000 square meter. We are
It's the
welcoming
biggest one.
360 brands. So when we at the beginning there was less than 50. So there was an astronomical growth, but it's a demonstration how it is healthy, how people are creating. I'm a little worried about the speed because I think to build up the network worldwide, it takes much more time. To convince people to invest in a retail, and today is not easy. Is working. Sometimes we have much more brand than the demand. So the risk is the offer is higher than the demand, and so we don't let the small retailer to grow up. But if we succeed in it, we let also small brand to grow up. So I used to say very often for a long time, I told that what we are looking for is 2% of beauty business. In Italy, we made much more, practically the double, but that for other reason. But reaching the 2% or 75 billion in Europe will be magic, and a lot of people will be happy. But if we simply will be able to have almost two stores for any country in the world, we can multiply for 25 our turnover today. Because you consider only United States, if we have two stores in any country, United States means 100. And you have to consider what is the growing up. For example, in Africa, we are welcoming also, in Esxence, the awards from Los Angeles, the awards from China, awards only for niche perfumery. And so we are connecting the two oceans, and they are welcoming in Italy. So I think there is a movement also, it's also a cultural movement.
Well, this is what I wanted to ask you next, is about Asian brands entering European markets, because I have noticed quite a few Singaporean brands, Japanese, China, if I'm not mistaken.
China, the China, there is a special awards that is Minority Awards. We are welcoming Esxence in these days. The final jury was in my office in Milan a few months ago. And it was very interesting because we have a Chinese jury and then a Western jury to confirm the selection. So there is a lot of proposition. There is interesting to see how they want to be approved by us. Now, because what is that? They want if the Western consumer approve the Chinese, the Chinese appreciate the more the brand. Apart from that, but obviously on my side is to smell the fragrance, to understand what is the new trend. I was discussing with Kentaro, for example, what's about the tea. So for us, tea is the typical green British breakfast. So you have so many potentiality in that. Or osmanthus, for example, that is very interesting, much more than cherry blossom. And another story like that, how to use herbs in a different manner. But they want to be approved, and we have to discover. As happens in cooking. No, and we are following exactly the same trend. For us, the couscous spices was a foreign guys for a long time. Today it's normal. What is wasabi, for example? Now, wasabi was a foreign, something foreign for us. Today is normal. So when you are in cooking, emerging of culture, the same you see step by step in perfumery. So it's in gourmand, it's in flowering wood. So how many wood we discover apart from wood? We discover a lot of other wood that was not so common. But that is the vetiver used in a different manner. So it's we sometimes we don't realize it, but every day is a discovery, and it's also. I used to say also it's a big gesture piece. So we are embracing culture of other people. We are including in our daily life, and so that is we are destroying some wall now, also with the smell. So welcome. So I love so much that. It's the typical joke on myself. Every year I told the people when they ask me something like
That's what I
that.
have to ask you.
Every time they ask me what's happened next year, and the answer usually is we are working for the next 15. Now, but that because is historically what's happened that every time we tested something here in this field, very often some of the new proposition became the new trend for the luxury business. So very often I tell the Esxence about everything about Esxence is a research and development that is feeding the luxury market. Coming back to your question is I pray that this exaggerated use of wood of basic notes will stop it. We will stop it, reduce it, and following the trend in sustainability. If you look to any website of the raw material supplier, you see that all of them are much more are moving to a natural ingredient. For some, we can discuss a lot, but anyway, they are much more moving to natural, where the long-lasting effect is reduced very, very often. And so, I pray that in the next 5 years we will have finally wonderful perfume. You will be obliged to spray almost twice a day.
Huh.
Because it's what happened in the past, and I do prefer that it will be like that. I do prefer that the people to understand the nuances, so they did particular inside the construction of a perfume. When you have a note so intense, it's covering everything, so you very often can understand the difference between a fragrance and another one. So I think a little more educated proposition of perfume. I do love that in the next 5 years, finally, I want to destroy wood because, it's a sacred ingredient. It's much more important for Japan because I wonder how many people knows that the best incense in Japan are made of wood since hundreds of years.
And what about Middle East?
And Middle East is simply because, what's happened if you know that wood is coming from Indonesia and not from Arabia. The simple is the cost was very high. The long-lasting effect, especially under a very intense heat, it was the reason why for Arabians is something that is considered very sacred, costly representation of richness. But that is what is amazing. Every time I tell the people, but that is something that is very important in the Japanese culture, that was exported in Arabia and became a status symbol. And today, everyone is making, everyone pretend to be Arabians in making perfume, especially Western country. That made no sense. While sometimes we lose sandalwood that is anyway coming from India, we lose lavender, for example. What about gardenia or something like that? So we can discover something that today, some of them are covered by the intense perfume we want to Lily of the Valley, despite this, it involves some ingredients that are very difficult now to have. So the reformulation of so many fragrances in the past 10 years was a drama, and the coming back to natural ingredient with all the little impurity inside and the natural that makes the difference. Please, you are very welcome.
Thank you so much.